warm welcome to all our viewers. This is Devsurabhee Yaduvanshi and we are with Goa Story. This is a new segment that we've begun known as the Youth Talk, and I'm very honored to welcome my very first panelist for this segment, Uttaran Bhunia, who is with us all the way from West Bengal. So over to you, Uttaran, and I will ask you to introduce yourself and what do you do.
Yeah. Hi. Well, I am from West Bengal, but right now, currently, I'm living in Goa. So I'm a junior architect, and yeah, along with that, I kind of do a little bit of stage shows, stage acting, and all. And I'm into a little bit of activism, little bit, not too much.
And what sort of activism are you in? Please do tell our viewers.
Mostly into environmental activism and obviously LGBTQ activism because that is I'm part of the community. But I'm not like full on into it because obviously I don't get time. But I try to do that through my own work, whether it's my own artwork, whether it's drama, stage show, theater, fashion. So I always try to sensitize the audience through my work as much as possible.
So thank you so much for your brief introduction, Uttaran. And so let me begin. Very good news that you had recently that you featured on the ad for Tinder. So can you share with us how did you land such an opportunity? And yeah, how was the whole journey shooting for it? And what does it mean for you as somebody in the QIA community to have representation on such a wide platform?
Well, so in Goa, since I don't know anyone, so I have actually made friends through protests. So I have this friend called Francesca, who one day just pinged me up and she's like, so one of her friend was doing this project and they wanted someone from Goa to do it. So she thought that I had a personality for it. So she asked me, are you interested? Like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I love, being dramatic. So then she told me to send an introduction video, which I did. I tried to make it funny, and then I got selected. And the shoot happened here only nearby. So basically, they wanted to show what me as a queer person, or just me, would do during this lockdown. Like cleaning the house, going to buy groceries, being on my cycle, but still, feeling that pride because it's Pride Month. I mean, Pride is not cancelled. I mean, yeah, we are not getting to meet, but pride is something which is inside, right? So that is the feeling that they wanted, and I tried to portray that. I didn't even have to act. I just had to be myself, which is the best part because it takes time for queer people to get comfortable in their own skin, and I could just be that and being short, not like short, but you get it.
Okay. So you landed up for the job just being yourself and having fun. Is that right?
I mean, how lucky can I get? I mean, you didn't have to do anything. Just finally, I can say I was born that way, and be like.
So just to get a little bit into your personal history a little bit. So to ask you as a first question, what gender do you identify as on this gender spectrum?
So I'm a cis man. I'm a cis homosexual man. I think that is it. And obviously, when I was growing up, first, obviously, I did not understand the feeling that I was having. And I saw there was some difference between my friends and me and how they used to talk about other people, how they used to get attracted to girls. And I used to be like, is this a phase? Will it change? And then obviously, I did not know that I was effeminate back then. And then obviously, in middle school, I started getting bullied and teased because of that. But
Okay.
then I realized, okay, so this is a part of me. But since I was young, and I thought, since all this bullying and this negative feeling that was coming, I thought this was something bad, right? Because I had no guidance, right? So I went through a very dark time. But obviously, with time, I realized that this is who I am, and I had help in the sense from art and music. I got inspired by a lot of things, and I finally came out and decided to be myself. So, yeah.
So how easy or how difficult was it for you to come out to your near and dear ones about your gender identity? And can you share that experience if it's
Mm,
okay?
yeah, obviously. So I think in class 5, I started, I mean, people could understand that I was effeminate, and so they used to tease me, right? So I did not know that I was gay back then. I thought I was transgendered because they used to call me names. They used to call me Hijra and all this stuff. So I used to get very hurt. There's nothing to be wrong with Hijra, obviously, but
Mhm.
that time I did not know, right?
Yes.
So that was like my perspective. Okay, so maybe I am that because I didn't know what was happening with me. And I really thought that my life will be okay. I'll probably be kicked out of the house. I'll be, probably
Mm.
taken to the train, very depressed. But then slowly I started reading things. I started reading blogs. I started reading about other people's experiences. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I am a homosexual man. And then class 10, what happened? I got very close to a friend. Her name is Shomi, and uh, there was actually a fight we actually had that time where she's like, you're always depressed, you don't talk to anyone, I think you just want attention and all. And at that moment, no, I don't know what happened with me. I was like, do you really want to know? Do you really want to know? Then I said it, okay. And to be honest, for me, I thought I'll keep this secret with myself. Like I'd never be out, okay? Because I was very suicidal that time. And I knew that I probably won't be surviving that long. Okay, because the amount of hate that I used to get, and the hate, it's not about the hate that people had for me, it's also about how much hate I had for myself, which I
Mm.
had to overcome to actually come out. Okay, to accept myself. Haan, theek hai, whoever I am, I'm this.
Mm.
So I told her the moment I said that was the happiest day of my life. I was like flying. I was crying for 3 hours, but that was like happy tears. And obviously after that, slowly, my close ones, I started telling them, and I got support system, and they took me as I was. I mean, they still are. So I got lucky, And people who love you, they love you no matter what. I remember, I think after I came out in 2011 to my friends, and in 2013 I came out to few of my family members, that is like my cousins and all, my age. So one of my nephew who's like very young, so I was talking about this, and she, being so young, she told me, "So what? You're still my uncle." And
Oh, so sweet.
I was like so touched. I was like, if young people can understand, why can't grown up understand, right?
Yes.
I came out to my parents. I came out to my mom in 2013. It didn't turn out to be very good decision, but then it's okay. I understand because they're from a different generation. It takes time for them to to get it. So I was
Mm.
not really angry or anything. I just took time. I came
Mm.
out to my dad in 2019 only because I was doing my thesis on the community itself. And
Okay.
so when my dad asked me, how did your jury went? So my first jury didn't go very well because our professors were a bit conservative, and they did not like that fact that I was talking about sexuality so openly
Mm.
and all. So I
Mm.
had a very bad day that day. But I came out to my dad, and my dad was like, I thought my dad wouldn't understand and all, but my dad was like, he didn't give a shit. He was like, so what? I was like, okay.
Not expected.
Not expected. But okay. But I also, when I actually came out to him, I took in a very different direction. I talked to him in a way like, I understand that you're from a different generation. I understand that it'll be hard because obviously my family comes from the village.
Mm.
And so I was telling them about other people's experience, how their parents react. So he just listened. I told him like, some parents, they kick their kids out if they come out to be gay and all. So my dad was like, who said I'm going to kick you out? I was like, okay. And the next day he's like, do you want money? Do you want to go somewhere? I was like, oh, why is he being so nice to me? But yeah, I mean, I was so shocked, and I was like so happy that my dad was very chilled about it. Yeah.
So it must have been a huge relief for you to let it out into the open, and along with that, the historic decision of decriminalization of homosexuality and all other gender identities. How was that experience for you when you got to hear the judgment?
Yeah. So first thing, when in 2013, when they recriminalized it, I think it was like around like 1 p.m. I was having my lunch, and it was on the news. It was coming.
Hmm.
And then my close people, my seniors and all who knew that I was gay, they called me up and was like, like they're very sorry, this happened. I was literally crying. I was like, shit, we're criminals again. And obviously for the next few years, I was a criminal, obviously. I mean, it's so funny to even think like just two years back, I was still a criminal just because I was born that way. I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? But now, obviously, when this thing came out, when again it was decriminalized, that time I was in Kerala, and again these same people called me, and I was like happy. They were also happy, this is it, right? This is it, and like yes, and it's not only about that. There's obviously I feel lots of gratitude that it happened, but there are a lot of things that we still need to talk about. The transgender bill, people,
Yes.
you have to give people the power of choosing their own gender. Like the government cannot tell that this is your gender identity. I mean, it doesn't happen
And
that way.
and also
And
about the union between two people who
yeah, yeah,
identify as whatever gender.
yeah,
So a civil union, the
civil union.
recognition of that as well needs to
Yeah,
come into the conversation as well.
exactly, exactly.
So let me veer off to another direction and ask you, how has it been after the decriminalization of homosexuality and other gender identities at the workplace? So since you are a professional yourself, how has the journey been for you over the years, finding that kind of acceptance? Is it widespread acceptance, or you do still face some bit of discrimination uh, regarding this?
Luckily, at least my boss is open-minded. I'm in my office right now, by the way. My
Okay.
boss is open-minded. I mean, he's cool still. I mean, I get to talk to him about what's happening. Uh, but that doesn't mean everywhere is same. Obviously, some people are, they'll be like, like hold back. I was like, okay,
Saying
dude, yeah. Like, don't. Yeah. So that is there. And even when I told you now, when I was doing my thesis last year, so colleges like architecture is supposed to be a very liberal subject, right? I mean, you have to think openly. So you feel that the space will be filled with open-minded people. But these
huh.
professors who were professional architects, they were the one who were saying stuff like, "Oh, these people are criminals. These are all Western cultures, this and that." And so you get the contrast, right? I mean, they
Yes,
are all
yes.
architects, but I had thought of the space, and I did, and my thesis was one of the reason why. I mean, this is the very reason that this close-mindedness that I had to do this thesis. I had to make sure that this is there. We have to talk about it. You know, uh, so
So, what was your thesis about, if you can quickly
okay,
share?
so basically, it is about how to use architecture as a tool to change people's behavior towards certain stigma or to certain community, and to create an inclusive space, right? Because architects do have the power of creating space. Then why not make
Yes.
a very inclusive space? And so I did a lot of studies and this thing how to, and came into conclusion of how to put that together. It's not making a space where it is just for LGBT. It's a space where people from all walk of life would be coming, and because of we need interaction to break our prejudice, right? I mean, until
Yes.
unless,
Yes.
for example, in Kolkata, at least in the KFCs and all, there are dumb and deaf people who work there. So when you go there for the first time, you will be like, that did that person got my order? Can he like understand me? Do you get me? It will happen. It is obviously gonna happen. But when you see
Yes.
your really coming and your prejudice breaks, your stigma breaks, and like, yeah, this person got me. So because of the
Huh.
interaction, it happens, and that is so important. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to go and meet people, talk to them. The world is not that bad how you think. It's bad only because we are so,
Close.
close. Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, be free. If you're free, the other person will be free too.
Absolutely. And it's so nice to hear about your journey. Just before we end for this segment, I wanted to also address, sex as a topic itself is quite taboo in our society, and it's that this sort of phenomenon is common across our country. This is something that's really common across all our cultures. That
Yes,
talking about sex is taboo. So forget about sexual identity.
I know.
So That's like going 100 steps ahead. So,
Yeah.
what do you see as a person of who's a member of the LGBTQIA community going forward? You know, the role of having positive conversations about sexuality and how human sexuality is fluid in nature, and how we can be on a spectrum, and what we identify as is not something that's abhorrent. So what do you see as the steps going forward uh, in, you know, kind of sensitizing people around you in a positive manner?
Obviously, the first thing is that we need sex education in school. And when I mean by sex education,
Yes.
I don't mean by like just in biology you talk about what a penis is. No, like talk about safe sex, talk about diseases, talk about sexuality. It starts with
Yes.
it starts with that is it. We tend to divert to porn and how how sex sells in TVs. I mean, these people are like, oh, so conservative, and then you on the TV you're seeing all this. That is where you get your
Yeah.
idea, and that is not true. That is going to give you, like because people will be like, okay, my self image, okay, I'm feeling having body issues just because I see this is perfect, but that is not how it really works, right? So, so conversation in schools by the teachers, our education system should start with it, and then obviously at home it should be a dinner table conversation. It should be is as natural as anything else, right? So, I mean, India has like 1.3 billion people. Where did we all come from? And how come we don't talk about it? So, yeah, I mean, do it through humor. Everyone likes humor. So, yeah.
Having that conversation about sexuality should actually be very natural phenomenon in our
Ex-
communities, but it isn't.
It isn't. It isn't.
So
But then it's a change. I mean, slowly, it will going to be, right? I mean, we cannot expect like that. But
yes,
yeah, young people have the power right now to do that.
yes,
Talk to your
yes.
parents about it. I know few of my juniors and like people I know of my age, and like they're like started talking about it, and that you have to create that space. You have to create that space.
Yes.
Someone has to start. Come on.
Absolutely. So it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Uttaran. Time has literally flown. So it's like, you know, it's gone in a jiffy because we were having so much fun talking about all
Yes.
the things that we have spoken about. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for gracing the segment Youth Speaks, and you're the very first person to grace the segment. So, to all our viewers, this is Devsurabhee Yaduvanshi, who was in conversation with Uttaran Bhunia today. We've spoken about the LGBTQIA community. If you are a person who's young in age, or even young at heart, perhaps, we can make exceptions. You can come and put your point of view forward. We can have a panel discussion. You can write to us, inbox us, and let us know what you would like to speak and get out there in the public forum. So, thank you once again, Uttaran, and God bless.
Yes. Yes. It was so nice meeting you.
Likewise.